What is going on, everybody? James at Tech Community here, and today I'll be showing you guys how to make your own PlayStation Portal simply by using just a Backbone 1 controller. Pretty much this should be able to work with almost any 7-inch tablet as long as it has a USB-C connection on the side and as long as it's really no bigger than 7 inches really. Now, honestly, the Backbone 1 controller can stretch out pretty far, but it just can't reach quite enough to fit onto this 7-inch tablet. So that's why we're going to open it up here. If you look on the back, you'll see 4 screws on either side of the Backbone controller. You'll need to take each of those screws out, and then you could open up either side of it, and we're making slight adjustments in the controller just so you can stretch out just a little bit further to be able to fit the tablet. Now, once we remove all 4 screws, you'll be able to easily take off the front cover. Now, don't pull too hard because there is a ribbon cable in there holding it all together. So just kind of gently just move it off to the side so you can easily be able to get to what you need to get to. Now, once you open it up, you'll notice there's going to be a coil there that basically allows it to snap back into place when you're expanding the controller. What you're going to want to do is you're actually going to want to slightly remove that coil just a little bit that has that rod inside. Now, what I do on the left side is I'll take the screw that holds that coil in place and I'll take that out so I can take the coil out completely. You don't necessarily have to do this, but what you want to do is you basically want to be able to kind of pry up that coil just a little bit that has the rod inside and just kind of take it out of that pocket it is resting in. Just because if you do try to expand it at all while that coil is still inside that little pocket, it will snap out even with that screw holding it in place a little bit. And you might take the chance of actually losing the rod that actually allows the Backbone controller to kind of snap back into place once you stretch it out. So I recommend, even if you're not going to take it out completely, like I do, just take it out of that little pocket just to be safe. You're going to want to look under this ribbon cable. You're going to see 2 screws under there. Basically what those screws do is they will hold the gear in place that actually allows it to kind of stay on track when you snap it in and out. Now, what you're going to want to do is remove both of those screws, make a slight adjustment over to the side a little bit where the hole for the one screw is kind of overlapped with the one next to it. And then you're going to want to put one screw back in place. You're going to have an extra screw that's going to stay out. You're not going to use that at all unless you want to reverse this process and change it back later. I recommend holding on to it just in case you do for whatever reason. But you're going to want to basically just use the one screw, and after you slide it over and put it back in. Once you do so, it will allow the Backbone controller to actually stay open a little bit wider so you'll be able to fit some bigger phones or tablets in it as well, especially once you do it to the other side, like we'll do here in just a minute. Now, when it comes to putting the coil back into place, I highly recommend, if you took it out like I did, to put the screw in to kind of anchor it in place, and then put the tip of the screwdriver in there along with the other end rod in there as well, and kind of gently pull it over back into where the pocket is that it sits in, and just kind of try to gently rest it in place. Now, be very patient with this part though, because it can be a little frustrating, can be a little difficult to kind of get back in there. But I promise you, once you get it in there, it should be fine. You should be good. And then we'll be able to reverse the process and put the cover back onto it and put the 4 screws back in, and we should be good to go. Now that we got the left side of the controller finished, let's work on the right side. Now, the right side of the controller is going to be very similar to the left side of the controller in every way but one. The only difference is that when it comes to the right side of the controller, do not remove the screw that holds the coil in place. Just lightly remove the coil out of that little pocket it's in. Be careful not to lose the rod that's inside that coil, like on the left side, mainly because when you make that adjustment to kind of make the Backbone controller expand just a little bit further, that spot where the screw needs to be put back into place is actually going to be hidden under the plastic, so you will not be able to anchor that coil back down into place. So just keep in mind, don't completely remove that coil out of the right side of the controller, but like the left side, the 2 screws you're going to make that adjustment for are going to be hidden underneath that ribbon cable that you'll need to kind of move off to the side, and everything will be pretty much similar with the exception of that what you're going to do with the coil. All right, since we got everything all put back together, all we need to do is put the 4 screws back in to kind of hold everything in place. As you clearly see here, as I'm holding the Backbone controller, you clearly see the PlayStation logo is still slightly a little bit exposed. Like I said, when you make these adjustments, the Backbone controller is not going to be able to close all the way, which is totally fine. It's not going to damage anything. Everything's going to be able to work completely fine. Now, I will let you know this, though, when it comes to actually the Backbone controller being used on the particular tablet I am using, which is the Kindle Fire 7-inch tablet, when it comes to charging, it doesn't seem to actually accept a charge through the Backbone controller. So if you want to be able to charge your tablet, you will need to be able to remove your tablet. So as you can clearly see here, the Android tablet is working perfectly fine on the Backbone controller. If you guys want to know how to run stock Android on your Fire 7 tablet, I will leave a link down in the description below to the video that I used. And if you guys want to pick up any of these items, whether it's the controller, the tablet, or even the tools that I'm using, I will leave links down in the description below as well, so you guys can pick those up. And honestly, I think this came out perfectly fine. It's still a little bit of a tight fit, not as much of a tight fit as the original one that I made in the previous video that when I discussed this. But honestly, the revision that they've made a little bit of a revision to it, and I think it actually fits in pretty well. Like I said, not as good as it would fit with a phone, just because phones are a little bit smaller, but you could still get this thing in there and actually basically make your own PlayStation Portal. So honestly, that is the video for today. If you guys like this video, please hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe to catch more videos like this in the future. And as always, it's been James at Blue Eye Tech. I'll catch you guys next time. Have a good one.